Hello and welcome to our Making Tax Digital webinar for accountants and bookkeepers. And there's lots going on and I'm not sure where you are in your journey. So welcome and nice to see you or not see you. I can see the numbers on the screen. If you've got any questions, please put them in the chat and I'll get round to them. So I'm just going to pull up a slide deck. And we're going to start off with the basic question, what is MTD? As I say, I don't know where you are on your journey. So let's have a little look at that and just start with the basics. I'll whiz through those. If you've got any questions, please come back and ask me if I skip over too fast. So I'm Della Hudson. I'm a chartered accountant. I run Minerva Accountants, which is an MTD ready firm as far as we can be. And I also run Hudson Business Advice, where I speak, I write, I coach and run courses for accountants and bookkeepers to run a better business. So here we go. So what is MTD and what do you need to do? So first of all, you need to understand what you actually need to do, of course. How can you do it if you don't know what it is? What's required, the deadlines, the things like that. Then you need to start by preparing your own practice, because instead of just having one year-end deadline for tax returns, we're now going to have 5 because we've got those quarterly returns as well. So we need to know what the extra work is and how we're going to handle that. Once we've figured out what we're doing, then we need to prepare our clients, and we've triaged ours to figure out who needs to do what. And I'll take you through that process that we use to triage our own clients. You can try that. So MTD, it's essentially digital record keeping and quarterly submissions to HMRC, or at least this bit is MTD for ITSA. We've already had MTD, where a lot of HMRC's own services went online. We've had the MTD for VAT. And for those who don't know, it's Making Tax Digital. So why are we doing it? It's a pain in the backside, but the argument from HMRC is that it will close the tax gap. Now, even if you don't agree with their calculations on how big the tax gap is, I think we all know that there is a tax gap. So the benefit to MTD is they will have more visibility, they'll have more frequent updates, they'll have reduced errors because people won't forget their income. They can do it now because there's software available, and we've generally got a tech-savvy population. You might have the odd client who can't, but generally we are all tech-savvy. We all have smartphones, things like that. From my perspective as an accountant and as a business owner, there's more visibility for me. I've got up-to-date management information and my clients, which means they'll make better decisions, or we can help them to make better decisions. There'll be reduced errors because they won't forget the expenses. You know, those heat-generated invoices that just fade on the dashboard of the van, or the ones that get lost or screwed up so they're illegible, because we're going to get them processing those straight away. They'll also have tax estimates so that they can get some idea of how much they should be setting aside. I know we need to still do the year-end stuff. And they'll be able to get the other benefits from using technology, which I'll go into later on. So who's affected? We've got different start dates depending on their gross income. So that's their gross income, their turnover, not their profit. And it's based on the prior year's tax returns. So we're essentially adding together their sole trader and their property income. We're not looking at dividends. We're not looking at employed income. There's lots of stuff we're not looking at. It's their sole trader and their property income. So these boxes on the tax return. So those with income of £50,000 will be in it from 6th of April 2026. So less than a year away. They can still go into the pilot scheme sooner, and we've got clients in that. the benefit of the pilot scheme and having at least a couple of clients in it is that we get to have a dummy run. There's also a special support line with HMRC, which means that you get through faster than you do on the normal line. So that's a benefit in itself. As I don't know if you've been to any of the talks by Craig Ogilvie, who's the HMRC director heading this up. He's also incidentally the director who organised the furlough scheme. So that went as smoothly as it could. They got it live within 3 months, which gives me great confidence in Craig, and I know some of the rest of the team as well. It won't be faultless, of course, but it's at least got somebody competent heading it. It's got all the usual budgetary constraints of HMRC, though. So we've figured out who's affected, which means wading through last year's tax returns, or the ones that you're doing now, and just making a note of who's got which income. So what do they need to do? They need to sign up as individuals, or we can sign them up for MTD. So there's a choice of going now or going when they have to. They need to maintain digital accounting records. So yes, a spreadsheet will do, and that's one of the things we're going to look at. And then there are quarterly updates that must be made using software. So if you're using accounting software, that's fine, you make it from the software. If you're using a spreadsheet, you need some sort of bridging software, and HMRC aren't providing that. So there are quarterly deadlines that are the same as the VAT deadlines if they're using the March quarter end. So if there are a different quarter end for VAT, then it's a little bit messy, but you can change the VAT quarter end to align with the March year end. You've probably all aligned your sole trader year ends to March already. So we have a March year end. We can arrange to change the VAT to the March year end, and these will also be the March year end. So this means we really do need to get clients onto monthly or more frequent bookkeeping, because otherwise you're going to be doing all your work within a month and 7 days and then have the rest of the quarter off, which might suit you. But we need to be spreading that out. Now we're lucky, and I can see our bookkeepers on the call. We're lucky that we've been getting our clients used to monthly bookkeeping up until already. But if you haven't, get onto that straight away. And then after these 4 quarterly updates, which are just income and expenses, nothing complicated, income and expenses. And HMRC have said that initially they're not going to be checking the quality of those submissions. So don't submit nonsense, but they're more interested in people getting into the quarterly update compliance, that they meet the deadline rather than go for accuracy. And then the tax return at the end of the year will be filed using software by the 31st of January as usual. Although frankly, if you've got everything up to date by the 7th of May, other than spreading the workload, there's no real reason for delaying too much, because I don't know about you, but our clients, our sole trader clients, they rarely have any other income, maybe a little bit of bank interest. Some of our clients are more complex, but generally it's pretty much their sole trade income and maybe a little bit of bank interest, which falls under the allowance anyway. If you haven't already, you need a new agent account. So you have one tax agent account for self-assessment at the moment, and you need the new agent account for MTD. It's the same agent account that you use for VAT, so don't panic. But if you aren't doing VAT returns, then you need to set up a new agent account. We're going from 5, we'll have 5 submissions, not just 1. However, in the first year, don't forget that you will be completing your 2026 tax returns whilst you start on the quarterly submissions for your 2026-27 returns. So up until the 31st of January, you are going to have to manage 2 lots of deadlines. This is why I've been speaking on this topic since 2017, and I've been telling people to get their clients into this routine now. Give it a dry run, because otherwise you are going to be burnt out by the 31st of January 2027. So get your clients doing things on software or whatever method you choose, and keeping it up to date each quarter. Now, one of the useful things that we do is using Dexter Precision or Xenon or one of the other ones that will give them a bookkeeping score. Now, we started using this just for, to make sure that the clients doing their own bookkeeping, it was up to date and good quality, just to make our year end easier. So they sort of cost a £5 a month per client, so £60 a year. But in keeping everything up to date and neat and tidy throughout the year, it saves us time at year end. So we offset that extra £60 charge with the saving at year end. However, the thing I didn't appreciate, I don't know if any of you are gamers, I'm not a gamer, but when you give some people a score, they come back and ask how they can improve it. All of a sudden, I had my MTD solution there. Clients were asking me how to have up-to-date bookkeeping, how to have better quality bookkeeping. So if your clients do their own bookkeeping, it's worth looking at. And if you do your own bookkeeping as well, it's, if you're a bookkeeper, then it's worth doing as well, because it saves you doing some of the manual checks that you do. So please be aware of this 10-month overlap. If you're not ready for it, I can see you all dropping like flies, because just that 31st of January deadline alone usually means people are stressed and just knackered. And you've got to be doing these quarterly returns as well. Oh, and then just as you don't get to take February off, because you now have to do the 7th of February submission as well. So please, please, please do that. Yep, so scoring the bookkeeping, the software I mentioned, there is Dexter Precision and there is Xenon Connect. Gareth from Xenon did a demo for us in the group, so I'll put that in. Let me make a note. So Xenon demo, that will help you with that. There are other things as well. So when I talk to you about software, there are usually other things as well. I just tell you the ones that I know, that I've used, that I rate. So in order to do everything as slickly as possible, if you've ever been to any of my talks before, this is the only time I want my accountants to be sad, is when you systemize, automate, and delegate. And I came up with this when I built my first practice. It was built around my kids. So I was running a profitable practice that sold for 32% above average. And I was working just 25 hours a week. So don't get stressed. Let's get everything under control in your business. So spreadsheet or software. And there are arguments for both. The spreadsheets, they're a lot simpler, but they've only got basic functionality. Whereas specialist bookkeeping software, it's got quite task-specific tools. I'm struggling with those words. Task-specific tools. and also advanced features. So I'm going to go into some of the benefits of using software as well. There are benefits to the business, there are benefits to the accountant, there are also some cons. So we do need to make a decision, and you might make a firm-wide decision, or you might make case-by-case basis for each client. So benefits to business with cloud software, you can have multiple users. So you can have the bookkeeper, the accountant, and the business owner all logging in separately to the same up-to-date information. Now, it might be that the accountant is the bookkeeper or the business owner is the bookkeeper, but you get the idea. You can connect it to data entry apps, get your clients taking photos of their receipts on the phone using HubDoc. It's free if you're on Xero. It's a bit clunky, but free is good for me. Dext, and I really rate Apron. We use Apron for our clients with any number of receipts. We only use Dext with one client who's on free agent because Apron don't do free agent yet. So data entry apps make it really easy. If your client's got tills, they can connect it to the software. If they've got an online shop, they can connect it to the software. A2X is a good connector for most of those online shops, for Shopify and so on. You've got the optical character recognition apps for the taking photos of everything, and you're training your clients that when they stop and buy fuel, they take the photo before they pull off the garage forecourt. If they buy a cup of tea, they take the photo while they're drinking it. Get them trained. Anybody who says that they can't use software, I just ask, can you take photos of your kids, of your grandchildren, your favorite dog? Most people can do it, so there's no excuse not to. And you can even do it with one hand. Phone apps are great. You can use it for uploading, as I've explained. For your trades, they can raise their invoices while they're on site and take payment. That really improves their cash flow. You don't have to wait until Friday afternoon or Friday evening and then have to do their paperwork. They can do it on site and get paid so that they don't then have to chase. So with most software, you can do recurring invoices, and with the phone apps, you can have a card reader on your phone or plugged into your phone to take that. With Xero, there's a button on the invoice for clients to put in their card details. I believe some of the other software might do that too. So faster debt collection, recurring invoices, automated chasers. Basically faster, cheaper, better bookkeeping, because we're not even professional bookkeepers. You're not keying things in manually and prone to error. I know we have to look at software errors as well, but they generally don't miskey things. So it's not going to take away the work of bookkeepers. It's just those clients who I believe are too small to use a bookkeeper. And we'll come to the triage on that later. It gives the client more accountant contact. It also allows their accountant to be a little bit more proactive. It provides them with management information for decision making. It will speed up the year end, and I put that with a question mark because most of them don't actually care. But sometimes if they're after finance for their business, or more normally with this size of client, they just need to renew their mortgage every couple of years, they get those accounts faster. And the software can form the center of a business hub. So you've got things like Deputy can be used for scheduling staff in restaurants, pubs, whatever. Or you could plug in all sorts of management reporting tools. You can plug in project management software. software for consultants, marketing agencies, whatever. So lots of possibilities there that will benefit the business. So it's not just a cost, there are potential huge benefits. Benefits to accountants and bookkeepers. Well, this gives us more touch points with clients, and because we can log in at the same time as them, we can just keep an eye on their bookkeeping if they're doing it themselves, or talk them through what's happening, help them make better decisions. Our clients are more automated, which is generally so much easier for all of us. There might be additional work for us. We might now be doing bookkeeping for clients and charging for it separately when it would previously have just been rolled up into the year end. So great for us. I don't want to make money off clients doing stuff that they can do themselves, but sometimes they do need extra support. We've got up-to-date information for tax planning, up-to-date information for business advice, which is my sweet spot. But even if you're not a business advisor, where you're looking for these opportunities to earn additional fees, and I must say, the software companies all talk about, if you look at this, look at that, look at the other, then you can find all sorts of opportunities for extra income and ways to help your clients. It would be lovely, but believe me, I do it. I have a fairly standard client bank, and some of them have the business advice as well, and others they would love business advice, but they can't afford to pay for it. So we can occasionally find some valuable business advice that we can charge for, or more normally on the tiny clients, we would just tell them to look at something and just earn a few brownie points, which increases client loyalty and things like that. If you are interested in adding advisory work, then there's my third book, Changing the Numbers, I've forgotten the exact title, Changing the Numbers, something like How to Grow a Profitable Cloud Accountancy. I can't remember. No, that's the other one, isn't it? How to Deliver Profitable Advisory Services or something like that. It's on Amazon. And of course, it's faster year end because a lot of the work's been done through the year. So it's definitely faster for us. Mark Lee, who is one of those people that I know and respect, there's real-time data makes it easier for accountants to give clients the proactive advice they want. We're using accountants here. I know a lot of bookkeepers give business advice as well. There's just a whole overlap. So please feel free to use the accountants to include bookkeepers. And of course, a lot of accountants do bookkeeping as well. The downside of software, of course, is the cost. Most software starts at £7 a month plus VAT, which is less than 2 Costa coffees per month. I looked it up. Costa coffee's flipping expensive. But it's a fairly standard benchmark that puts it into proportion. The cost of software, of course, is tax deductible. The risk is garbage in, garbage out. So if your clients are putting in nonsense, they will get nonsense out, which is one of the things that we consider when we triage our clients. You will need to provide training and support for your clients, or make sure that it's available with the software. But which software, everybody's asking. And there is so much out there. I can only speak about the ones that we're using. So Xero Simple is our main choice. That's because most of our clients are on Xero. We use Xero Tax to generate the year end, so it will all talk to that. And that's why Xero Simple is our default. However, there's lots of stuff out there. We've also got a little trial with Absolute Tax, which is supposedly free. And I say supposedly, it is free, but I think that's only while it's in beta. I think they're going to charge for that next year. So the time that we've spent trialing this free one. The other business that I work for, and I must say that Zoho do pay me to speak for them. So take your own view, but Zoho have a free option as well that you can use. So that's worth a look. If you're using anything else with any degree of success, please do put it into the chat and I'll share that. Oh, sorry, can't even manage my slides. So build your plan, work out what needs to be done, allocate the tasks. You need to be sending reminders to clients. So we've got two bits. We've got the reminders that they need to do this to get ready, and then you've got the quarterly reminders coming up. So we've got all those deadlines coming up, and that's, like I've said, start early. So how do we triage our clients? Well, basically we sort them into small and simple, which is most of our clients, to be honest, the sole traders, and the more complex, which have got maybe some seasonality or some other reason that makes us think they'll need quarterly adjustments. So if they're small and simple, we're working on the basis that the information just drops out of their current bookkeeping system or their new bookkeeping system, and somebody gives a cursory check and presses the button each quarter, and then we come along at the end of the year and do the year-end adjustments, put all the adjustments into that year-end period. So it's much like a normal tax return for us. The complex ones need something done quarterly. So that's the nature of the business, small and simple or complex. And then we look at the quality of the bookkeeping. So we've got lots who fall into this poor or no bookkeeping. So for the small and simple ones, we're recommending software, we're holding their hand, we're training, by which I mean that we've got some videos for them to watch, and that seems to get most of them going. We're also offering bookkeeping sessions where once a month they get to, we're trying to encourage them to do their bookkeeping on that session, do it while we're there to answer any questions. But if nothing else, they get to log in and ask their questions. Where do I put this? Where do I put that? To which the answer is almost always, it depends. If they can't manage that, then we refer them to a bookkeeper. So we work two ways. We have internally, we do the small bookkeeping, the one which is just a few hours a month. And then we also refer any proper bookkeeping to an external bookkeeper. And Michelle is here, who used to do our internal bookkeeping. And she's now out there doing it all on her own now. So we're referring bits and pieces to her, and we'll refer more. If they've got no bookkeeping and it's complex, then skip over the DIY. Let's just get the bookkeeper in, and somebody will do those year-end adjustments, depending on the complexity of that. It could be the bookkeeper, or it could be the accountant logs in to do that. If they're sort of average, middle of the road bookkeeping that's okay, then you can probably keep them there, and we'll just log in at the year end and do the adjustments then. If it's complex, we get it over to a bookkeeper. You're seeing a theme here for the complex ones, where either the bookkeeper or we will do the quarterly adjustments. Now, it could be that either of those quarterly adjustments can just be a recurring journal that goes in with an estimate that we sort out at the year end, or it might be a proper figure that needs to be adjusted in. We need to watch out for clients who aren't posting their payroll properly. And this is a big issue for us. I don't know about for you. So it's the clients who just post the net payments into salaries and don't bother doing it properly. We need to get them sorted on that so that they've got realistic figures for themselves and for HMRC. Accountant comes along at the year end, does this. If they've already got a professional bookkeeper, no change. So It's probably just year-end adjustments, which either the bookkeeper or we will do. Because, you know, if it's a small, simple business with a professional bookkeeper, a lot of bookkeepers are able to do that. Otherwise, we'll do it as well. And then, of course, the complex business has a bookkeeper, and please not the director's wife necessarily. Let's have a professional bookkeeper who knows what they're doing on these complex ones. So that's how we've triaged our clients and the solutions that we are recommending to them. Pricing is another big question. So I'm going to go back to this. So if they're small and simple, there is probably, other than the cost of the software, there is probably no extra cost from our point of view. However, we will use it as an excuse to realign some of our lower fees. So we'll use MTD as an excuse to do something we should have done already. They can all swear at HMRC. So I don't see that any of these will need an extra cost from us. These will. There's proper extra work to be done. So we'll do something there. And I'm content to sort of use this just to realign fees, because we are, you know, all this time now we're spending figuring out what to do, trialing software, preparing training videos and so on. So we are doing extra work. So I feel, you know, clear conscience to realign those fees. So I don't know if anybody else has got anything to add on pricing. Some people, sorry, going back to the pricing, some people are talking about doing a review fee for the quarterly submissions, much the same way you might do for a VAT return. So you need to consider the bookkeeping. Is there a bit additional bookkeeping services? Is there an additional submission? In which case they're sort of charging, it seems to be about 50 quid a quarter, just to check and submit those two numbers. So we need to get telling our clients, we need to tell them what it is. We need to tell them when they start. We need to help them choose software, which I've said our default is Xero Simple. We need to implement any price increases and explain them. We might need to provide bookkeeping or software training or make sure that that is available. So even Xero, you know, Xero does the software training, but we need to do the bookkeeping training, because I don't want clients ringing me every 5 minutes to ask where they put this invoice, that invoice, the other. So we're looking at the obvious things. And we need to make them aware now of the deadlines, but we also need to be sending them quarterly reminders going forwards. I think I've covered everything that I wanted to. So any questions? I've mentioned lots of software. If there's any software that you would like demonstrated in the group, let me know and I shall contact them to see if they'd be willing to do that for us. So how are you all doing on your journey? You all feeling confident or tearing your hair out? Then Odette asked, would I recommend Free Agent? Free Agent is lovely software for simple businesses. So for consultants, and I'd say sort of, if it's a single person consultancy, it's pretty good for those. The only reason we don't actively recommend it is because it's a lot easier for us to have as many clients as possible on one software. So unless there's a reason why we think Free Agent would be better, for instance, they're getting it free of charge from their bank, then we would usually steer clients towards Xero. So yeah, if you've got clients on Free Agent, then go for it. pricing is hardest. Jennifer, what do you mean by pricing is hardest? Knowing what to price or how to go about it? So knowing what to price, it's very hard for me to advise on that because your fee structure will be different to mine. And although we aim for fixed fees, they're usually based on, they bear some relationship to the amount of time we put in. If you want to know about pricing, how to go about pricing, then I've got a pricing webinar on our website. Sorry, our website is hudsonbusiness.co.uk. So you can find all sorts of courses on there. Setting your prices, beginning of the business. I know it is really hard, and I do sympathise. So we've got the pricing webinar. We've also got our startup bootcamp for accountants and bookkeepers setting up. Again, you'll find details on the hudsonbusiness.co.uk website. If you want an example of our pricing, then go to our Minerva Accountants website, which is minervaaccountants.co.uk. So Minerva Accountants, plural.co.uk, and see what we're charging on there, which will give you a guideline. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to go and grab some lunch. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm on social media. If you've got any other questions, or sign up for one of the courses, or join our group coaching sessions. We've got 3 sessions per month, all at different times and different days. So you could do that. Yeah, I know you'll all get there. The fact that you're here shows that you are learning and you are thinking about it, which gives me confidence that you will get there. So take care and all the best, and I'll see you online. Bye. Oh, link for the pricing webinar. I'll get that off to you, Becky. In fact, I'll put both of them in the group, the link to the Zero demo and the pricing webinar. Take care then. Bye-bye.